affect our health. So there's a chiropractor named Dr. Bradley Nelson, and he wrote this book called The Emotion Code. And I'm a trained practitioner in the Emotion Code, and the reason I was drawn to it is because it is based on energy Chinese medicine. What Dr. Nelson says is anytime we feel a really strong emotion or we're in a very vulnerable state, that emotion can actually get trapped in us, like a literal ball of energy trapped in our body. And then once it's trapped in us, it messes up with our energy field and distorts it. So it can cause emotional issues, physical issues, all kinds of things that make us feel unwell. So what he has figured out is how to find these trapped emotions through muscle testing and release them by, he uses a magnet or your fingertips because they're magnetic. I use my hand, my fingertips, and you just run up and down the back. This is the governing vessel meridian. There are these major points all along the meridian that are connected to all the major organs, which are then connected to all the meridians. Excuse me. So by tapping that out, you're releasing the energy trapped in the body, and that's all it takes. It's super easy. And it's not like a therapy where you have to go back and really delve into the old emotions and relive them. You don't have to do any of that. You find it through muscle testing, you release it, and it's gone. So 2 weeks ago, I treated someone who had thigh pain she had it about 2 months, and she wasn't even sure how she did it. She thought maybe she pulled something. We released 2 emotions, and it went away. The next day she woke up, it was gone, and it never came back again. So sometimes it's that easy. Sometimes it's a combination of emotions and physical things. So you use acupuncture with it, you use the emotion code with it, but you can also do this for yourself, which is the self-care part. So when you're doing it for yourself, you can learn how to do it here, but a very simple technique is just tapping. You obviously can't, let's tap your whole back out here. So you tap from your forehead to the back of your head when you feel a strong emotion. So I can show, could I use one of you guys for a, Lisa, you want to come sit here and I want to just do a demonstration.
Here?
Yeah, that'd be great. And then I can show you how it works. Do you have any pains anywhere right now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
Well, here.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do a muscle test here. I'm going to put your glasses up here so you don't. So muscle testing is just kinesiology. All we're doing is we're accessing your subconscious, okay, energetically. So don't let me push down. So you're always resisting. So here's your strong. When I turn my hand over, it should weaken you, and it does. Strong, weak. Okay, good. So another way to test it is to say, say your name is, my name is Lisa.
My name is Lisa.
Okay, so that holds nice and strong. If you say, you know, my name is Roger.
My name's Roger.
All right, so it's not. So it just shows us that we're getting some real answers from your body. Okay. So now I'm going to ask your body if there's any trapped emotions contributing to this pain that you have in your low back, and your body says yes. So we're going to ask your body where it is, what the emotion is, and so he has compiled this list. So we're going to ask if it's from the column A. Yes. Is it in row 1? No. So it's in row 2? No. So it's in row 4. So it's an odd, even row 4. So is it anger? No. Is it bitterness? No. Is it guilt? No. Is it hatred? Okay, so that's kind of a strong emotion to come up. And so it doesn't mean that you hate someone. It could simply mean there was a moment where you were watching the news and you heard something terrible and you hated what was happening. It's just that emotion of hate got trapped in you. And for some reason that's affecting you. And it could have been there since you were 3 years old and somehow something triggered it. So I'm going to ask your body when it got trapped there. So was it before age 30? Your body says yes. Was it before age 20? No. So it was before 20, between 20 and 30, yes. 20 to 25, no. So age 26. So around age 26, give or take a year. Can you relate to that at all? Sometimes you have to think about what you were doing. You know, were you working? Were you having kids? Were you married? You know.
Yeah, I think I had my 4th kid when I was 26.
Okay.
Whoa, good for you.
So can you
26 or 27. It's all a blur.
So, all right, so let me help you. So, so hatred at age 26 got trapped, yes. So was it something involved with your family? No. Was it something, can you think of anything else that was going on? Like, what can I even ask? Because you're a stay-at-home mom at the time, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing, with 4 kids.
26. That would be like, I'm trying to think of what year it was.
Right,
when I
yeah.
was 26.
Yeah, like what was going on in the world, or...
1971, 72.
Okay, okay. So, was that...
Could be that my mother-in-law might have done something really horrible then, because she was always doing things like that.
Okay, okay. So let's see. So something having to do with your mother-in-law. So I had asked family, I was asking immediate family, which was no. So something with your mother-in-law, and it is yes. So, and it could have just been a moment in time. Again, it doesn't, we're not saying that you hated your mother-in-law at the time. So all I'm going to do is tap your back out. So I'm just going to have you lean up, Lisa. Yeah. So we're just releasing the trapped emotion via the governing vessel. Great. Okay, now let me test that again. So did we just release that? Perfect, okay. So are there any other trapped emotions in that low back that we can now release? Your body says yes. So let's just see what else it is. So is it in column A? Yes. Is it an even row? No. So odd row, is it row 1? No. So is it row 3? Yes. So cry? No. So discouragement? No. So rejection? No. So sadness is coming up. Okay. So can you relate to that in general?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just stay with that feeling. And do we need to know anything else? So sometimes we don't even have to go back in time. Sometimes it's just hanging over you right there. And you can relax your arm. So, and again, it doesn't mean that you're sad right now. It doesn't mean that you haven't worked on some of these emotions. They come up for anybody, whether they're, mentally or, people will say to me, oh, but I worked that out a long time ago. It doesn't matter. It just, because it got stuck in you. Has nothing to do how you think about it anymore. So we're just going to let that sadness out because it got trapped in you. So let's get that out. So these are all affecting your low back. Okay. So let's check that again. So did we just release that? Good. Any other trapped emotions we can release from there today? Anything hidden? Anything inherited? Okay. So right now your body was saying there were those 2 trapped emotions, and that's all your body will release right now. You might even have an emotional response in the next day or so. You could feel a little bit, some people actually cry, some people go home and argue with their husbands or wives. It's just an emotional processing, and it doesn't have to happen, but if it does, it's normal, and it's just the emotions on their way out. They say about 30% of people do that. So see how you feel in the next day or 2. See what happens with that. Now the other thing, the self-care part of it is when you feel a strong emotion coming on, you can tap yourself out so it doesn't get trapped in your body. Let's say oh, I'm so angry today. Somebody did something I didn't like, whatever it is. So you're just going to tap all the way down from your third eye area to the back of your neck 3 or 4 times. And sometimes you can actually feel yourself calm down. I do it a lot, and it actually does work a lot. Sometimes when you work on yourself, you might even get a little teary because you don't even know what's happening, but it's just releasing. So that's a really good self-care way to work on the emotions. The other thing that you can do when you feel a really strong emotion, and this is really hard, this is totally changing the way you think, is when you're in a position to maybe get angry or upset or sad or any one of these things, what Dr. Nelson says is go to curiosity instead. So say your son did something you didn't like. Instead of saying, chose to go to a different college, and you're like, oh, I really thought he was going to go to this college. This is really upsetting me. I don't understand. Instead of getting those emotions up in your body and then they could get trapped and cause problems later on, you think, I wonder why he did that. I wonder what's going on with that. And it kind of deflates the whole intensity of the emotion and neutralizes it. So that's another thing that you can do with that. But the emotion code works also not just for physical things, of course, for emotional things. Some people I treat just for depression, just for anxiety. To release, there's also, he believes there's a heart wall that we build up around ourselves to protect ourselves with trapped emotions, the energy of trapped emotions, which is great. But the wall becomes so big and thick that it cuts ourselves off from really living in the world fully. So we can always work on pulling those away. But that's something you'd have to see a practitioner for that does this. But the self-care stuff is great. You just have to really recognize when you're in the middle of a strong emotion. And sometimes we're not even, because we just go about our day and we're not really sure. But if you can recognize that and know that you're upset, just tap it out, take a few deep breaths, just so it doesn't get trapped. Because then if we can keep it from getting trapped, we can keep ourselves clean emotionally, so it's not going to add to any physical issues. So any questions on any of that?
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I would try. Roberta was telling me about the tapping. Roberta read something about that.
There's a couple different techniques where you do tapping. You tap different parts of your face and things like that.
Yeah.
And very often you use affirmations. There's all kinds of techniques out there. This one is so simple though. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to put in affirmations. You just tap it out so then it doesn't get trapped. But there's a lot of great techniques out there that you can use. The thing I like about this is, like I said earlier, you don't have to get into the intense emotion. Some of those techniques you have to go back. You have to feel it in order to release it, and that's exhausting.
And is that what they mean by the code? This tapping thing? Is that the code?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's just the name of his technique instead of saying, emotional technique. It's just his word for the whole thing. And generally, if somebody's working on you, you're going to go down the back, but it's all the same meridian. That meridian goes all the way around. So just by tapping here, you can still clear it out. The other thing I wanted to talk about was scalp points, which you can also treat yourself for. There's it's a microsystem like reflexology, where the foot is a microsystem for your whole body, and you can find different points on that will release pain. It's the same thing with the scalp. I didn't bring a diagram for it because it's a little bit more complicated, and it's something I do in my practice. The thing I like about it is one needle can release pain instantly. So for instance, like with, I've worked on a lot of people with frozen shoulders. So their range of motion can sometimes only comes to here, one needle here, and their arm can go all the way up. So I've done that a dozen times easily. It's like magic. I almost feel like it's a parlor trick, but it works and it holds. And so what I always tell people too is just intuitively, just touch your scalp, look for sore points and push on them when you have pain anywhere, because everything's connected.